Welcome everyone to a planning and email marketing webinar. So I'm Jill with Aviatra Accelerators. We help women entrepreneurs start their businesses, grow them, and get them funded. And with me is Jasmine Hughes, our marketing and development director. So she and I are going to tag team this presentation today. So I'm going to cue it up and Jasmine is going to start.
So we're going to talk about how to get our 2026 planned out strategically, and then how to execute that with email as one of your most powerful tools. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. So today we're going to talk about how we're going to identify our goals, and then of course talk about the value of email marketing and identify a strategy to use that to reach our goals. All right, so let's talk about goals, right? So when we think about the whole year, it's easy to get a bit overwhelmed. When we think about the goals that we have, they may seem far-fetched, right? Like, I think there's a lot to be said for thinking about. Jill and I were just having a masterclass about some planning where we talked about the different mindset between 2x versus 10x. Definitely a good read, good podcast to listen to as you're thinking about strategizing and setting goals for the upcoming year. And that's just the encouragement of thinking bigger and reverse engineering that to fruition. So when we think about the whole year and these big goals, we might get a little overwhelmed. So it's a good idea to take these in smaller chunks, thinking 30 to 90 day sprints. And then we need to prioritize what goal you're going to have for each quarter. So if you look at your whole year or the next coming quarter, identifying the most important things there, and then trying to pick one thing to really focus on, and one goal to focus on to make that happen. And then coming up with a strategy to work you toward that goal. So let's talk about what kind of goals we have to pick from. We're talking big umbrella type goals, right? So is your goal going to, your goals are going to live inside of brand awareness, sales and conversions, and customer retention. So overall, the goals are, no matter what your goal is going to live inside that space, in one of those spaces. And so brand awareness is going to talk about your testimonials, your stories, right? Like who you are, what you're about, the mission behind what you do, who you are and why you do it. All right, so sales, we all know what sales are. We got to get those sales in, and how are we going to drive those? And then we think about, urgency, deals, deadlines, things in order to get people to make that trigger, right? To click that button to make that happen. And then of course, customer retention. How are we upselling our customers? How are we working to keep them involved, engaged, and continuing to use our products? So we're going to work them through a funnel and think about how you're going to do that. And so we're going to be thinking about that awareness is really the top of the funnel. You're going to nurture, engage, convert, and retain and reactivate these customers. And so when we're thinking about the things that we're doing and the actions we're taking and the strategies that we're putting in place, it's good to know that that if you're in a space where you need to think about awareness, you're really casting a wide net. And if you're in a nurturing, you're talking to an audience you've already identified, conversion even further so, and then retaining and reactivating those clients that are your frequent customers. And so just thinking about that as a whole picture. And I believe now we're going to talk about how to turn that into active steps you're going to take through the joy of email. And Jill, I'll go ahead and hop you on here 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I did want to just kind of talk through those 90-day sprints. If you're in a business that has some kind of a selling season. So for example, if you are a product-based business, you might have your fourth quarter might be really focused on selling because, the holidays. If you are, let's say, a lawn care service, probably second quarter is going to be your second quarter, third quarter are going to be your big sales months. And so then what are you doing for the other months? What are you doing for the other quarters? And so that's when these goals come into play. So for example, if your month is, let's say your quarter, a product-based business that sells a lot during the holidays, your goal for fourth quarter is going to be sales conversions. And so then again, what is your goal for the other quarters? So in the beginning of the year, it might be brand awareness. Who are you? What do you sell? And all of that. And then so then in the first quarter, after your sales, whoever you sold in fourth quarter, then for those people, perhaps customer retention is your goal. And so the idea that you have these strategies per quarter and that they are potentially change as the quarters go on. Of course, you always want sales, but there's probably some higher quarters where the possibilities for sales are greater, and that's when you will focus on that goal. And so then, as Jasmine mentioned, let's talk about the value of email marketing. So I really believe in this. And when we did this little deeper dive on the value of it, it was really quite amazing and inspiring. So in generally speaking, when you have email marketing strategy, you make $42 for every dollar that you spend, which is incredible. Tailoring your content, that is because you can tag your followers, your subscribers, tag them according to what they've done or how they've interacted with you. So if they've interacted with you by downloading a lead magnet, let's say you're a health and wellness coach, they downloaded a lead magnet, like a PDF that was like, how to get through the holidays without going off your diet. So then you could tag them as interested in diet. And so perhaps another lead magnet that you have is how to reclaim your mental health through yoga. So then you would tag that person potentially as mental health, interested in mental health things. And so then you only could, going forward, if you wanted to use those tags to really target your offerings to people that you think would be most likely to convert, you can use them. So you're tailoring your content. Building customer relationships, letting people reply to you, encouraging it, and then sharing your story. They feel like they're getting to know you. They have the option to reply so that you get to know them. That's really powerful. Measurable results. Of course, whatever tool you use, there are things that you can measure and it automatically happens. You can check on open rate, click-through rate, when people are opening emails, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the biggest reason for starting email marketing is you own that list. If you are posting and really only focusing on social media, we all know that things happen with social media, like the whole possibility that TikTok was going to get shut down. Everybody who spent all their time building up their business on TikTok would have lost it in a heartbeat. And we've all had other stories with updates about, meta updates or something, and people lost a huge amount of their followers or the algorithm deprioritized them, and it's a nightmare. But if you have people's emails who have intentionally opted in, you own that list and you can reach out to them with whatever cadence that you want. So clearly I'm really excited about email marketing, and I hope I've convinced you to be as well. So let's just talk really kind of briefly about how to use email marketing. So the 3 steps are basically grow your list, plan a strategy, and execute the strategy. So let's get into that a little bit. So growing your list, there's lots of ways to do this. The biggest one is to use some sort of lead magnet. So that is just an industry term. It just means something that you are offering that attracts, right, kind of magnetizes, it attracts a lead. So it attracts somebody who's a potential customer, and in exchange for the thing that you're offering, they're willing to give you their email address. And so we see this all the time with like, let's say clothing, women's clothing stores will give you a discount, 10%, save 10% if you sign up for our email list. And so that's you deciding, is it worth it? And if it is worth it, then now they have you as a subscriber and they can reach out to you and sell to you. And in exchange, you have gotten something of value, which is money saved. A lot of times, like in that example I gave earlier about the health and wellness coach, they might have those PDFs, that downloadable guide for getting through the holidays or using yoga for your mental health, that sort of thing. These guides are valuable. And so whatever it is that would align with what you want a potential buyer to know from you, or what will signal to you that the potential buyer is interested in what you're doing. That's what you're trying to create here. So that's what a lead magnet is. Okay, the second way is an automatic opt-in. If you have a check-in on checkout, like some kind of a checkout system on your website, however you use that, we've all seen it, the little checkbox that says, yes, I'd like to hear from this business. If you have a setting where you can automatically check that and people have to intentionally opt out of hearing from you, you have better conversion, because many people don't even notice it or they don't do it. It's easier than having them intentionally opt in, because that's another barrier, another thing that they have to do, another thought process they have to go through. So if you can intentionally set it up to have an automatic opt-in, it works better for you. Yeah. And then live events, we do this all the time at Aviatra. Whenever we have a live event, we pass around a clipboard that asks people if they want to be on our mailing list. And when I do a workshop, like at the library, I pass the same thing around and I say, this is not a sign-in, not a check-in thing that I'm passing around. You're opting into our email list. And so you have to be very, very clear about that, because you can't automatically add people without an opportunity for them to have said no. So like, for example, all of the people that signed up for this webinar, we cannot automatically add you to our email list. That's against the spam rules, and it's against Eventbrite's rules and all of that. So you have to have some other kind of mechanism to get people to intentionally opt in. So then plan your strategy. So like we were saying earlier, the three sort of strategy buckets are nurture, retain, and convert. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then execution. So executing your email strategy is basically, what tool are you going to use? So there's some tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Kit, and HubSpot. Those are all email service providers, where that's basically all they do for you. I mean, they're also customer relationship management tools to some degree. HubSpot more than the others probably, but they're all basically, you pay as a business owner for a certain number of subscribers, and then they will send out the emails that you write to the subscribers in a compliant way. So you don't have to do anything with that. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten an email from somebody who doesn't do this. There was a time when I was getting some emails, direct emails, and I was clearly on a list. Like, it wasn't directly to me. There was no, they were clearly blind copying a whole bunch of people pitching this mortgage thing, and there was no way to unsubscribe, and that's illegal, and we don't want to get trapped into that. You have to have a way to unsubscribe, and all of these services provide that. So then Shopify or Wix or whatever website platform you're on, those can be additional ways to basically email service providers. They all have that as a component. So, and it works really well, especially with like a Shopify site where you can have that automatic opt-in checkbox, and then people are automatically added to your email list after they check out. That doesn't capture the people who have not yet bought from you, though. So there, that might be that discount, that lead magnet thing. option for you to add people who are just thinking about buying from you. And then the automatic check-in adds them when they have bought for you. And you can tag them differently, again, so that you know whether you're trying to get them to buy or whether you're trying to get them to buy again. But those are the tools that you need. Something to send compliant emails. And then that's just examples of different ones. They offer different functionalities. Shopify, Wix, and whatever your website platform is, of course, adds the benefit of also hosting your website. So let's talk about the strategy here. So we talked about kind of this brand awareness strategy. So let's pretend you're a product-based business that does really well in the holiday season. So Q4 is your big sales season. So in January, you are probably in brand awareness. So like, let me introduce my company to you, followers, universe. And so you might be talking about your story. We have some other examples in a minute. Then when you are we've got sales conversions on there twice. Sorry. Then the next one, yeah, Jasmine's like, yeah, I already noticed that. The next one is sales conversions, right? So you're kind of focus on an offer. And then the last one should be retention. So you're trying to then get them to buy again from you, perhaps give you a review, a testimonial, that sort of thing. So let's go a little bit deeper into all of these. So again, brand awareness, sales conversion, customer retention. So each quarter, you're going to prioritize one of these goals. So the way you can use email for your brand awareness goal, telling your story. Why did you start your business? What is unusual about you? What is your mission? What is your passion of your business? Testimonials, another great way to talk about your brand and your business is by sharing people who, quotes from people that you've helped or that you've have bought from you. Case studies is a similar thing. Success stories, that sort of thing. Those are the kinds of things that you can share in an email. Like, meet Jasmine. She was, she had curly hair and it was unmanageable, and now she uses our product, and look at it today, right? Yes, exactly. Thank you. So then if your goal is sales conversions, then we're looking at offer and urgency. So you're going to make an offer and you're going to have some kind of urgency with it. And then you're going to address any concerns or doubts or barriers or something. So let's say an example would be, Jasmine and I were talking about Talbot's earlier. So Talbot's, of course, women's clothing line. If you get on their email list, they're going to be sending you an email like shop fall dresses. So here it is fall, and they're trying to be topical, and they're saying, look, here's some examples of our fabulous dresses, and then you can click shop fall dresses. They might say like, fall fashion is selling fast, right? So there's some urgency. There might be like, we're having a sale and the sale ends tomorrow, so shop today. Or they might talk about clearance. Like if you have summer, maybe there's like a summer clearance, and there's an opportunity for your last opportunity this year to get summer fashions at a discount.
And using the same example for the previous slide, it can be, what are the, telling you what the hot colors are for fall of 2025. For example, it's burgundy, in case anyone's wondering.
Right. And then it could be shop burgundy jackets or something. Yeah. Or, look at our burgundy collection or our trends collection or whatever. And then the urgency of course, fall colors disappearing soon or something like that. And get them while you still can. Decorate your home for Thanksgiving, right? Because the fall colors will be over after Thanksgiving. And then addressing concerns could be just something like some reason why somebody might not want to shop with you or buy from you. So let's say you're that health and wellness coach. They might think, well, I was injured recently and I can't do the yoga like I used to. And so it could be something like custom accommodations for standard yoga moves, right? That would be kind of interesting to if you have some kind of an injury. So addressing your concerns, or a big one around the holidays. Can you get this before Christmas? That's a big one, right? So that would be that. I'm sure you've seen that when they say like order by December 3rd to ensure Christmas delivery. And so then that's a combination of urgency and concerns. Like if your concern is you got to get it before Christmas, well, then that adds urgency, but it also answers that question for you. And then the third goal, customer retention. So this is thinking through how you can keep your customers and get them to buy again. And so it could be some kind of frequent purchaser, a deal. So like a punch card, or just, a discount. If you bought from us before, here's a discount that we offer only to people who have bought from us again, only to existing customers. Then there's the upsell. Okay, so you did this thing and that went well, we hope. And now you should be ready for this thing. And so here it is. Here's the offer. And updates too could just be like, here's what's happening in, let's say, the fall colors. And then now you're saying like, here's the new colors for winter. So it's just an updated information. And then there's always a call to action on that. There's always a call to action. Every email should have some kind of call to action. And even when you're just doing the brand awareness, it could just be like, read more about Jasmine's hair journey, curly hair journey, right? Click through. For the sales, it's buy now, shop now, explore our looks, the fall looks. And then for customer retention, the call to action is, here's the winter colors, plan your winter look, plan your winter decor, or something like that. And so
perhaps there's a survey or a poll or something.
Yes, that's another one.
Feedback
is engagement. Yep, some kind of feedback. So let's put this into a timeline strategy. And so you can start anywhere here, and your customer can start anywhere along this timeline. So I guess perhaps the ideal would be they just discovered you in some way. And so they're starting way over at the left side of the timeline with awareness. And so then you are talking to them. So they just downloaded something, or they just followed you on something, subscribed to your email list. And so your first emails could be, a little bit about your story. It could be an announcement of something that you're launching, a new product, an event, a new package that you're offering, a new book, whatever it is. Then the moving them along the funnel. So now we're doing awareness plus nurture. And so this is more about making them understand the value that you offer and the social proof of testimonials and success stories. This could also be some educational content or quick wins, something that is moving them again, like moving them along this timeline, getting closer to actually purchasing from you. So then the next step is that combination of nurture and engage. And so that is perhaps you have an event that is coming up, and then you have a supporting event. So a lot of times people do, when they have for us, we have our Fuel Your Business Income Accelerator, and we do an Accelerate Your Income Challenge. So that's a supporting event that is moving people along from the challenge to hopefully being in the program. And then it could be a webinar like this. It could be, as Jasmine said, polls, surveys, like, let's talk to each other. Let's hear a little bit about what my subscribers want. I want you to tell me what you want, what you're looking for, where you are in your journey of whatever I sell. And then a lead magnet again. So this is a great example, or a great time for a lead magnet. So now we're moving from nurture and engage to convert. And this is where, and again, somebody could start here and they bought from you and they got opted in, and that's great. Now they've already converted, and you'll move them along to the retention category. But if you're at this point here where they haven't yet bought from you, now you're doing that offer with some kind of an urgency. So colors are going fast. Here's a 10% bonus discount that ends tomorrow. we have a sale that's only next week. There's an early bird offer. We've got a bonus that is expiring. If you buy it now before midnight, you get the bonus.
Free gift.
Free gift of purchase. Yes. It could even be the free shipping. So buy $50 worth of merchandise and get free shipping. So some kind of urgency reason for them to actually take action and buy. And then that last one again is retention. So you don't want to just never talk to them again. What do you, because we all know, and I know there's some stats around this, I don't have them at the top of my head though, but of how much easier it is to sell to somebody who has already bought from you than to find, attract, and nurture a new person. So what are you doing? So you might offer a membership or some kind of subscription. That's perfect. There's the frequent buyer rewards of some sort. And then there's the upselling again. So like you've been through this program, now you're done with that. You're ready for this program, or you've bought this thing. Now, what else can I sell you? So it's either an upsell or it's another sale.
You got the coat, now get the bag.
Pardon?
You got the coat, now get the bag.
Yeah, right. Got the coat, now get the bag. Absolutely. So let's do an example. So we have a pop-up bookstore in our incubator. The grand opening is tomorrow. And so we kind of outlined what she did or what we would recommend that she do, the owner of that bookstore, to engage people along the timeline here. So the example is, her awareness campaign would be announcing that the bookstore is here and it's going to be opening soon. You could send your subscribers, some links to some of the articles that have been published about you, and then talking about why you did this. Why did she open the store? Why does she focus? So this store focuses on romance, love stories, and fantasy. And so why does she want to focus on that genre? Then the awareness and nurture category. So she could do some email newsletters about the books that she carries, specific books, right? So like maybe the hot new sellers or the favorite book club books and that she carries that she could talk about. She could talk about the subcategories. So for example, underneath love stories, there's a number of different, there's gothic romance, dark romance, LGBTQ romance, right? There's all these different, she could talk about those that she offers. And then she sells additional things too. She has these darling little chocolates, and she has journals and bookmarks and all of that. So she could kind of mention all of that as well in different emails. So that's the awareness nurture. Then for nurture engage, we talked about that supporting event. So we're holding a female author showcase, co-hosting with her. And so, you could share information about the showcase. You could invite your subscribers to come, and then perhaps you do a poll that says, like, of this top 3 book club books, which ones have you read? Which ones are your favorite? Something like that. Just the engagement thing is really fun and gets people not only does it get people engaged with you and you learn from them, it also helps your deliverability next time. So it tells your email service provider that people want to engage with this, they want to hear from you, and then it prioritizes your emails better. It's an algorithm also, much like social media, but it's a little bit more of a score than an algorithm, like a complex algorithm. You get kind of a score as a sender, and then the people's email, not the email service provider, but your own email, whether you use Gmail or Outlook or whatever it is, they react to that score. So it's more likely to put it. So if you have Gmail, you may be aware that there's promotions tab, and then there's I don't remember, social tab, and then there's your main inbox. And so the higher your score, the more likely as a sender, like the higher your business's score is as a sender, the more likely you are to end up in somebody's main inbox. So getting that engagement is them replying to is really, really important. Okay, so then for the conversion strategy, or section of the timeline here, it would be for this example, grand opening specials. I think that would be the best thing to talk about here. You know, on our grand opening weekend, we're giving I don't know that she's doing this, but let's just say we're giving everyone who buys something a free bookmark, or, you know, a sale. You're eligible to, you know, get a discount or something, some kind of offer that has some urgency attached to it. And then for retention, after they bought, or just after her grand opening sale is over, you know, she can talk about these other things. So she has some book clubs. So she might tell you about the book clubs and invite you to join one of them. She might have a punch card that you know, after buying 10 books, you get one for free, something like that. So that was our example strategy for the pop-up bookstore. We're going to tell you about two things, actually three things.
I was gonna say, if we want, before we leave this, would anyone want to volunteer themselves to walk us through, like, yes, sweet seat. We could help walk you through some ideas, some suggestions. Of course, you know, so many times on these webinars, you guys are busy doing other things, but by all means, if you are here for it, we're here for you.
Great. Leah says yes.
Yay.
I'm definitely in my PJs because it's early over here in Portland.
Oh,
so I sell services, and they are high ticket services. So I can't really do an add-on unless you want to add on another trip to Ethiopia along with your trip to Sri Lanka. So I do kind of struggle with getting people to sign up for my newsletter. Either they're looking for travel or they're not. And so I do struggle with what's the incentive other than I'm delightful. And so I would love a little help in like understanding, especially when it's big ticket, $3,000 to $6,000 per item you sell. If you have any ideas.
I think one of the things that's really critical about your business for the high ticket items is understanding that your sales cycle is long, right? Most people are not going to just have this idea that they want to go to Sri Lanka and tomorrow it's booked. And so that's okay, right? That means your nurture and engage cycle is longer. I think that a great way to get people to get on your list is get the dreamers, the people who dream of traveling and are saving up for their big trip. And so it might be, you know, where the top travel destinations of 2026, where will you go? And then you just do like a little series like that. So what's one of them? Let's say it's Iceland, right? I know that was hot a couple of years ago. So if it's Iceland, like, you have some amazing pictures and you talk about a trip that you offer to Iceland, and maybe you just say, you know, bookmark this page on my website for when you're ready to go to Iceland. I think that could be a fun way to appeal to people who are interested in travel and want to do it, but just need to be nurtured so that they work with you when they are ready. And also then it could be things like how to plan a big trip, like, so how to plan a once a year trip or a once a lifetime trip. And then you're thinking through, like, here's how I help people do that. I help them determine like the level of, like, the number of stars that they want for their hotel. Maybe they love backpacking or glamping or like full on camping, or maybe they want the best experience they've ever had with a 5-star hotel and room service every day. And so how to help your readers, your subscribers, decide where they land on that. And then, you know, you could offer some resources to just kind of get them moving along. Like, okay, you have this idea where you're interested in your once in a lifetime trip that you're going to plan. What's the first step? Well, maybe deciding how amazing you want it to be versus, like, is it super glamorous or is it back to nature? And so, like, and then what would be the next thing? Maybe what you're going to pack. And then the next thing might be, you know, how to find deals. And the next thing might be why to work with a travel agent. Right. And so moving them along. What do you think about
that? What I'm hearing from, I would say, Jill, what I'm hearing from you is that you're creating these perhaps free downloadable pieces of information, right? Of how
or just newsletters that have the information. But yeah.
Well, she's got to get them to sign up for
initially, for sure.
Initially. And so, on your website and in your social media, to talk about these things, to then pull them in, to give them that information and say, oh, and even to talk about it on your website and then give them the option to opt in to get that list of packing or that list of whatever tool it is going to help them move along. That doesn't eliminate your wonderful services, but just adds to it and gets them a little bit closer, a little bit more trusting you, and a little bit closer to their end goal, which is actually setting up the trip.
Okay. So just to go back, what does your dream trip look like? Would be the theme and the story I'm telling through my full funnel at all stages. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think that's one. And I think perhaps, there's a lot of entries into that. So Jasmine's perfect point about, what's the download? Here's your packing list download. If you are a back to nature kind of person and traveling in Asia, here's your packing list, but it also could be a series that you're doing that is, a 10 newsletter series, which ties into your social media of the 10 top destinations in 2026. And so the first one is Iceland, and your first newsletter is going to be all about Iceland. And then it's maybe interested in visiting Iceland, click here for a conversation with me about that. Or, or it could be another step, could be a lead magnet around Iceland or something. I think it could, perhaps the bigger lead magnet is the top 10 travel destinations and my thoughts on them, because people can Google top 10 travel destinations. They would come to you for your thoughts, and my experiences in these places. And then you could maybe just filter it to the places that you've been and why you loved it and why I loved them, or something like that. Or you could even just say my top 10 travel destinations and why I voted for these. And then that is your, so it's a general lead magnet for all 10 that have all 10, but then each month you're doing,
and then you can funnel it down to get a bit more specific, so they can really niche into the person and be like, oh, actually, I was really thinking, top 10, that's great, but I want to know more about Iceland. Or maybe there's safety features, right? Mm-hmm. Of how to do, sometimes people are nervous about traveling, and you can really help guide them through that process. And so even if there's just, a few tips that they can pull and download that are into the intricacies of things they can have either on their person or be on the lookout for, or whatever that is for that about, that's also very specific to that area. And maybe there's just tips for any travel that would be really helpful, just to kind of address those, somewhere in that line of addressing those concerns and alleviating those pressure points.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that a possible way, an additional nurture strategy that still makes you a little money, is to have an Amazon store that you link to. So my top travel tools for a back to nature vacation, and that's one of your newsletters, and it's all links to your Amazon store. You make a little bit of money if they buy, but it's still that sort of tactical, informational thing that is moving them, getting them excited, right? Oh, I want that backpack. Leah said that backpack is awesome and I need that backpack. And now they're one step closer. They have the backpack. Now where are you gonna help them go?
I need one of those fancy rolling suitcases where I can plug my phone in while I go.
I know, but those are hard to lug around when you're in Ethiopia or
it depends on where you're going. You're so right.
Yeah. Okay, this is really great. It's been 6 minutes though, so I want to keep you on track and be respectful for everyone else. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was fun talking with you about it. Anybody else want to hop on a sweet seat like that?
and do some
If you have
sharing.
time, I would love to talk about where I'm at because I'm gearing up to start my newsletter and I'm not
Love it.
exactly sure what needs to happen in there. So for folks that don't know me, I'm Samantha Harrison, founder of Momentum Family Strategies. We help families navigate care services for adults with disabilities, specifically for life after mom and dad. So when someone with a developmental disability is aging alongside their parent and their parents are no longer able to provide that day-to-day care, how do we help them navigate those situations? And so, thanks, Leah. So I am trying to figure out, what goes in that content. Let me pull back up the slide where I took a picture of it. So obviously I could talk about my story announcement. I'm announcing my new brand starting in November. So this is, great timing. Testimonials I have, success stories I have, like the meet, whoever, those are ready to go. So I'm realizing now I can pull all those in
Yeah.
to this newsletter fairly seamlessly.
I
I
think
guess,
Samantha is
yeah,
for you is why does somebody sign up for your list? They sign up for your
right.
list to make it easier for them to help their sibling
Mhm.
or transition from parent care to whatever else they have. And so each one needs to help them. And then you build in these other things. So each one needs to have some kind of a tip or a resource or something, because that's why they signed up. And then you upsell and you retain using the testimonials, talking about your products, whatever else you're promoting that day. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I'm thinking about, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask about the when you're able to get people into your newsletter, right? Like
Hmm.
how early are they? I feel like a lot of times when Samantha, obviously we've been able to chat about things
Yeah.
before. And so in previous conversations, I feel like, people are reaching out to you because they need you now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I'm really curious as to how you can maybe reach these people a little bit earlier and
Hmm.
provide them tips that work, tips and strategies and things that help them now, as opposed to when they're going to need you. And
Yes.
so maybe like just in creating those relationships, building that trust so that when they do need you, and they know they will, they just don't know yet, that they'll be able to
Yeah.
like, I'll just call Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I also think a lot of my early email subscribers are going to be professionals too who will forward this on. So I want to keep that in mind.
Oh,
I
okay.
have some people on my list now. Obviously, I have a CRM of people that have opted in as well, but they're not all my new target audience because I shifted that recently. So one of the things that I'm noticing is that I'm attracting a lot of people from paper print materials that I did not really expect. And so I'm working on building out what are those lead magnets then once they get to my site to click in as well.
I
So like
think to
one thing
your
I'm
point
Mhm.
about the referral partners, at the top of emails, you've probably seen this on some email newsletters that you subscribe to. It says, um, forward this to someone, forward this to a friend, or forward this to someone who needs this, or forward this to someone who's in this situation, something like that, so that it's super easy. It's right at the top, and they go, your attorney referral partner sees it and says, "Ooh, I'm going to super easily forward this to my client."
Yeah. When you say right at the top, do you mean like underneath the like my logo?
Yeah, I'll find an example and I'll send it to you. I
Okay.
think it says that. I think it says like the logo, and I think the one that I'm particularly thinking about is a writing email, like help, like conversion copywriting, that kind of thing. And
Okay.
so she'll say something like, "Hey Buttercup." She always has these like fun little names that she calls everybody every month. So, "Hey Buttercup," and then she'll say, you know, forward this to a friend or something like that, just
Right.
in italics, small black print that just makes it super easy.
Okay, perfect. Um, and then I'm thinking about offering like one resource. Of course, they're all floating around in my head, and I'm working on getting those formalized out. But like each month, have one thing, whether that's uh, some of it will obviously be my content, but a lot of it will be external things. Like, and so I'm thinking about calling it like your momentum move. So like, what's one small thing you can do today? Well, yeah.
Mhm.
I like
Yes, I
Okay.
that.
love that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But I think so it's all if this is a nurture strategy, and this is a But it also for you, because there's not really any seasonality to what you do. Parents are, all the time happens where they're phasing out or they pass or whatever, and then a sibling has to take over. So I think there could always be the option to download a thing, but if they need to talk to you, to Jasmine's point, now have have a button, set up a call, or reach out to me or whatever, so that it's super easy. They don't have to go back to your website. They may not want a thing because they're in desperate situation and they just want to talk to you. So I love the idea of the move, and that's like kind of a retention, engagement, nurture thing. But also in your case, there should always be a selling option.
Yeah. On the topic of urgency, just one last question. It's almost obviously I try to give an urgency piece to my offer, but on the flip side, a pattern I've noticed is that we tend to get the most urgent calls Friday, 5 o'clock before a holiday weekend. People are like, can't do it anymore, gotta have help. So my question is, am I sending that email Friday, 5 o'clock before the holiday weekend, or is it coming a little before that? I don't know.
Morning, maybe Friday.
Okay.
And then maybe you just clear your Fridays always for emergency calls.
Yeah.
Like
I wonder if it actually goes out at the end of day Thursday, so that it's in their inbox when they're losing their on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what that is. So wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that. And I like the idea of having that, like if they are in fact like 5 o'clock on Friday being like, I can't do it one more second, you have already planned for that and built into your calendar a 15-minute discovery call on Fridays. That's every hour or whatever, so that you've got that option.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And props to you for being so observant of your customers' needs too, and those trends. It's so valuable.
I appreciate that. It mostly came out of frustration working in social services. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this Friday 5 o'clock. Anyway.
Yep. But when your customers are ready to buy, they're ready to buy. So
yep. Ready to go. I will sure do it. Yeah.
Well, let me just get right back. We've just got a couple of slides left to share a couple of upcoming things. So these are
since you know and love us.
That's right. Yes. So they are in person in Cincinnati. So Leah, you're going to have to fly.
Leah, we'll miss you, or fly in.
No, you can come. You're welcome. So we have a deep dive. It's a half-day masterclass on really digging into email. So your strategies, your lead magnets, like we're going to brainstorm about all of it, how to automate the top three automation emails you need, that sort of thing. It's going to be very, very tactical and hands-on, and that's on November 18th. And then 2 more things we have coming up. We have that female author showcase we talked about for the pop-up. And then we have a kind of a really fun thing at our incubator called Her Market. And that is of women makers, women-owned businesses, kind of craft market, but it's not all crafts. Like it's art and, curated collections and that sort of thing.
Product-based market.
Yeah. From November.
And it's new. This is all brand new.
Yeah. We're really excited about it. So just those 2 things coming up, but I'm just going to pop back to that in case anybody wants to use that QR code. And we want to thank you so much. And we will send out a replay, an edited replay. And again, thank you everybody so much for joining us. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.